Hi, and welcome everybody to the Wise Guys podcast right here on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. I'm Ross Benjamin, your host, and I'm joined by two Picks and Parlays handicappers in addition to myself, Mr. Sean Higgs and Mr. Jesse Schule. Today is Tuesday, February 27th. We're going to be covering three games in college basketball today. Sean will be looking at Virginia Tech and Syracuse, and Jesse will be looking at the Pitt Clemson game. And I'll be looking at the Mountain West battle between Colorado State and Nevada. And before we get to that, a little bit of introduction. And Sean, how are you, my man? And also, after you tell everybody how you are, which I know you're good, but, just to reassure the audience that you're good. And also what's been going on with you over at picksandparlays.net, what you may have in store, any hot streaks you want to share with the audience, and so forth.
Well, doing pretty good. Excited. March right around the corner. Conference tournaments start up next week. We got one on Atlantic Sun. Heads off the starts the parade. But big win last night. Had Baylor as a top 10 star money bomb. Little underdog action. I know, a lot of times I preach like, hey, you gotta take the favorite in those spots versus ranked teams. But I know Baylor to me was the right side, and it was a no doubter. I'm happy about that. NBA and hockey. Pick up my spots. I had a 2-in-1 day in NBA the other day, but again, it's more college hoops. Down the home stretch we come. It's like a race. They're making that final turn around the corner, and here they come. Right, most of these big conferences with like 2 or 3 games left, so should be fun. I'm excited. Got a 3-pack up for tonight, by the way, too. So,
all right, there you have it, Sean Higgs over at Picks and Parlays.net. Sean, the thing with you is you're a volume handicapper. Everybody should know that by now. And money management's always a thing that should be exercised when guys are participating in any of your subscription plans. So again, something you want to harp on in that regard, because more so than me and Jesse, it's always important to have money management, but it's really vitally important when you're dealing with a gentleman like Sean, who's a volume handicapper.
Yeah. So yesterday was a rare case, small schedule. Not a lot of games. I liked one a lot. It was Baylor. Only game I fired on, and it was a spot I really liked. Normally, though, when there's multiple games, and for me on a Saturday, it might be, 12 games, 15 games. It's kind of flat betting. Always, and that's for anything. You got to kind of flat, even your peaks and valleys. You don't want to, you won 4 in a row. I'm never going to lose. I'm going to up my bets. Well, that doesn't work like that. You got to maintain the bankroll discipline, because just because you lost 5 in a row, not mean you're due to win. And just because you win, you're not going to win the next day. So again, bankroll management key. We said before in our shows, right? It's not the Instagram, TikTok, lottery ticket world that we live in. We win games, we lose games. We're back at it every day. That's why we've been around for 15, 20 years on sites, the three of us. I mean, each, that's not combined. Combined, we're looking at probably like 80 years on sites. I mean, just since the 2000s began. I mean, really, we're doing this stuff, come on, back in the 90s. We're way ahead of a lot of people. But, just got to grind it out. Grind it out. That's all I got to say. People, whatever. I'm not a lecturer. I mean, that kind of stuff,
Well, it's not a lecture. It's coming from a pro.
But there's different ways to skin a cat, right? I mean, you got people who want to just do things one way, and especially now it's like the parlay world, right? Everything's like the same game parlay. It's the same game. All right,
biggest sucker place there is, folks.
Hey, my game lost. I want a bad beat refund. No, loser. Actions have consequences. You lost. Pay the fine.
But Jesse, in terms of money management with me over at picksandparlays.net, I'll make it real simple for you folks. Have a gambling bankroll. And when I say gambling bankroll, not your kid's tuition fund, not your gas and electric bill, not your rent payment or mortgage payment. It's got to be where if you lost all of that money, it's not going to change your quality of life tomorrow. Okay. And that's important. And not to say you're going to lose all your money, but that keeps things in proper order in terms of money management. And I like to say never exceed 5% of your bankroll on any one play. So, for example, if you did use 4%, for example, at Picks and Parlays, there's two types of plays. There's a regular play, and they allow us just to use one best bet a day or one top play a day, whatever you want to term it as. I always tell people, whatever you determine, whether it be 3, 4, or 5%, whatever that number is, I only recommend you up the ante by 50% on a best bet. The last thing you want to do is be doubling and tripling up on a best bet and have a 4-in-1 day and break even or even lose money. So that's something I like to subscribe to. But Jesse, your thoughts on that, and then also tell the folks how well you've been doing over at picksandparlays.net. I know since the calendar year turned to 2024, you've been killing it.
Killing it might be a bit of a stretch, but I've been doing pretty darn well. I am sitting at the top of the leaderboards with NBA, and I did have an NBA winner on the Raptors as a big underdog winning outright yesterday. But over the last week or so, I've just been treading water. I will warn you, though, Ross, I think it's the calm before the storm. With March right around the corner, I've just been, biding my time and being quite conservative at the end of February. But come March, ooh, you better look out. But as far as responsible gambling habits, I like to offer clients a bit of advice, and this is something that guys should pay attention to, because you can tell this to your family, tell this to your wives, but every guy's got his hobby, and a lot of guys will play golf, or a lot of guys will be into fishing and hunting, and you can spend a fair amount of money every year on golf or on fishing trips or hunting trips, or some guys are into sports and sports betting, and if you spend a comparable amount of money to your next door neighbor who plays golf or goes on hunting trips, how can anybody question your how responsible you're being with your money? And the guys that go golfing don't come back with winnings last time I checked. So there's always the opportunity to actually make more than you're paying out. So I think if done properly, sports betting can be a very responsible hobby, and I think that's what you've got to tell your wives and your mothers and your fathers.
Yeah, and find a guy you could depend on, guy you can trust. I mean, us three would be prime examples of such. We've been doing this for a long time. We operate with honesty and integrity. I could tell you between August 4th and early January, I made an absolute killing at picksandparlays.net. I've had a rough run over the last 6 weeks. So again, we're transparent as well, folks. We're not going to win all the time, but jumping from handicapper to handicapper just based on hot streaks on a daily basis is not the way to go. Find a guy who's won over the long haul, whoever that may be. Do your research and stick with him for a while. I mean, if it goes 3 or 4 months and he's losing you money, then then you make a move. But too many people out there, they look at a guy that's 10-1 over his last 11, and we all know, us three, for example, we all know that 10-1 streaks happen a lot for guys like us. But yeah, to keep up that pace is just unrealistic. So what you want to do is find guys like us that hit 55 to 58 to 60% in a particular sport and stick with them throughout the duration. And let me go to me over at picksandparlays.net. College basketball total winner on Saturday. Didn't have any on Sunday or Monday. That brings me to 74-42 with my last 116 college basketball totals, good for 64%. College basketball top plays. I had 2 winners over the weekend for you at picksandparlays.net. As I had Loyola Chicago, who just lambasted George Mason on Saturday, and Nebraska on Sunday, who just crushed Minnesota. Now 119-88 with my last 207 with my college basketball top plays, good for 57%. NBA top plays on a 39-21 run, good for 65%. My NBA sides, 65-46 with my last 111, 60%. So you want to keep an eye on how well I'm doing with that particular facet of my handicapping when I put my picks up at picksandparlays.net. And for all three of us, invest a little money. I like to say invest a little to make a lot with quality handicappers, and us three will definitely put you in the winner's circle over the long course of time. All right, let's get to our free picks. Let's start with Sean. Virginia Tech and Syracuse. Interesting matchup here. 7 o'clock Eastern time. Virginia Tech just got walloped on Saturday against Pittsburgh. Syracuse jumped out to a 29-point lead in the first half against Notre Dame on Saturday and held on to win by 3. Virginia Tech won the first matchup between these teams in Blacksburg, 85-70. But Syracuse right now is a 1.5-point favorite, and the total is 153.5. So take it away, Sean. Tell us what you think of this matchup and who you like.
Yeah, I'm not really going to overthink this kind of matchup here, Ross. I'm taking Syracuse at home here. I'll grab the money line, whether it's 1.5, probably up at 120 now. You know, you got revenge spot from earlier loss, which makes sense. We talk about teams on the road, whether you're a ranked team, an unranked team, a team with 20 wins or 8 wins. You go on the road, you have trouble winning. You're at home. I mean, we saw Mississippi Valley win at home yesterday. I mean, they were 0-27, and they were getting 5 points. Give me the Qs here, short number. You know, Virginia Tech, you're 15-12. You're 1-8 on the road. You're 2-5 last 7. 4 of those losses on the road. The Qs have some wins at home. You know, they beat Pitt. They beat North Carolina here. Yeah, you jumped out to a huge lead over Notre Dame. A team's going to come back. That's just, you know, Syracuse isn't a good team. They might win 20 games. They're not going dancing this year. I don't think they're a team. I can't even say like, oh, maybe a bubble. Yeah, I get maybe if they get to the ACC championship game, they might be a bubble team. But even then, no, thank you. These guys lost, and I had Virginia Tech a couple games ago against Virginia. They crushed them as a unranked team, favored over a ranked team at home, 75-41. But I also saw Virginia lose the other day, 55-44 to North Carolina. I mean, that's not a super team. So yeah, I'm not high on Virginia Tech. Cuse gets their payback. All I got to do is win against a team that's 1-8 on the road. Forget about it. Cuse in your backyard, Ross. Let's go.
Yeah,
Orange.
Syracuse minus 120 on the money line over
Do it for
Virginia
Derek
Tech.
Coleman and Ronnie Cycli.
There you go. Yeah, Sherman Douglas, Derek
Billy
Coleman,
Owens.
Pearl Washington. Where the list goes on. Anyway, but that's not one of. There's not the caliber of players on this team there was on these past teams. You know, Syracuse is 18.
Who is the crazy little white guy who hit like 10 3-pointers in that one tournament in like the early 2000s? Who was that guy?
Jerry McNamara.
Jerry McNamara. That's
yeah, I mean, in the championship game against Kansas, he came out and hit 5 in a row. Yeah, I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah,
anyway, he's now an assistant coach for Syracuse. So
I'm shocked he didn't go pro. I'm shocked he wasn't in the NBA.
He was small. He was small. They remember, Sean, those Syracuse teams played zone, and the small guys didn't have to match up with big guards. You know what I mean?
Boy, like that old school zone, man. These people have no idea. They'd go in and just stymie teams. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, Adrian Autry in his first year here, Syracuse has played a lot of man this year, which they've never done in the past. They still leave a lot to be desired on the defensive end of the floor, Jesse. But, you know, as Sean alluded to, Virginia Tech, I believe, not only 1-8 straight up, 1-8 straight up in ATS, if I'm not mistaken, on the road. And Syracuse has been decent at home this year, going 13-2. Losing only to Clemson, and then for whatever reason they had a flat spot against Florida State. But like Sean touched upon, they also beat North Carolina and they beat Pitt, who's a pretty good team. We're going to cover them in a little bit. But anyway, Jesse, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
Some incredible local knowledge from a couple guys from the East Coast on this Syracuse team. You guys making me feel dumb, and this line is making me feel dumb. Syracuse. Straight up, just to win. Why isn't Syracuse a 3-4 point favorite in this spot? Virginia Tech's got a terrible road record. Syracuse has been playing pretty well. It's amazing how many wins Syracuse has got already. And the only way I can answer my own question is it because Syracuse was projected to be a lot worse than they have been preseason, and the bookmakers just aren't ready to believe in them as of yet? I mean, we're almost at the tail. We're at the tail end of the season. The numbers are what they are. This line doesn't add up. It seems too easy to take Syracuse here. Any thoughts?
Yeah,
guys?
well, you know, I think some of it has to do with the fact that the ACC from top to bottom is not a strong conference. It's very top heavy. And in terms of what this line is right now, I think it's justified. I mean, just based on Virginia Tech's struggles on the road, and Syracuse, like I said, 13-2 at home. But yeah, this is a game. I think that's there for the Oranges taken, and they're 9-8 in ACC play. And the eye test to me, this is not a deep team. The eye test to me is Syracuse is not. Look, and if you look at the NCAA tournament net rankings right now, Syracuse is 85, Sean. They're not even close to the bubble.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not only would they have to get to the ACC championship game to even get into the discussion, they're going to have to win out the rest of their regular season games as well. And it's very doable. I mean, Virginia Tech, and then they travel to Louisville, and then they finish up at Clemson, which will be a really tough game, but they'll be playing with revenge there. So we will see. Jesse, let's get to you, and you're going to be looking at the your contest here between Pitt and Clemson. Right now, the Clemson Tigers are a 7-point favorite. The total is 142.5. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, this line, big number for Clemson to cover. You look at this Pitt team, 6-3 on the road, Clemson 10-4 at home. But when you dig into the history between these two teams, it really tells quite the story. Clemson 10-0 straight up, 10-0 against the spread in the last 10 meetings versus Pitt. And Clemson won 9 of those 10 games by 7 or more. The history does not bode well for Pitt, but I just can't forget about the fact that Pitt's been so good on the road this season, so competitive. They beat NC State, Duke, and Virginia on the road. And one of their road losses at Miami was by just 4 points. They're 8-2 in their last 10 overall. The one bad loss during that span, blowout loss at Wake Forest. I don't think Clemson's as good as Wake is, or doesn't have this. Certainly, they don't have the same home court advantage that Wake had. I think Pittsburgh was getting 6.5 in that game. They're getting 7 in this game. I got to take as much as I'm scared of the history between these two teams. The history's got to change eventually. I'll take the 7 points. It just looks like too many points to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then, you mentioned Pittsburgh, how good they've been on the road this year, and then 6-1 straight up in ATS in their last 7, 8-2 straight up in ATS in their last 10. Clemson, as good as they've been, okay, and we're talking about an NCAA tournament caliber team that's 19-8 right now and won 5 of their last 6, but they're only, I believe, 3-4 or 4-4 on their home floor in conference play, which to me, this looks like a big number to give a quality team like Pittsburgh, especially a team that's been so good on the road. And you can argue the case, Sean, this is one of those rare examples of a college basketball team this season that's been better on the road than at home. And the same could be said for Clemson. So what do you think, Sean?
4-5. I'm doing a quick little look. I think I see 4-4.
Yeah,
for them at
4-4.
home.
Yeah.
OT loss against Georgia Tech, terrible. Terrible. I was at 11-point favorite. I don't know, but this game here, we had this game last week, right? Just we were talking about. I think when they're playing Wake, you're like, why? How do you not take the points? And then Wake drops a 91 spot on them. And you just saw Wake come out and beat Duke as a favorite at home. They took care of Duke at home. So I don't know. I'm torn on this. I want to take the 7, but is it too many? Like, are they saying, "Oh yeah, sure, take Pittsburgh and watch Clemson come in here and win by double digits"?
Maybe they're reacting to what happened against Wake Forest. Maybe it's like, oh well, Wake did it, so Clemson can do it. But to me, Clemson at home is not Wake at home.
No, I agree.
It's more points.
I totally agree. But why is it? I mean, I don't know. It's a toss-up for me. I had Pitt circled. I just couldn't get to the window on it. But I'll side with you on taking the dog here. I like my dogs.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Pittsburgh plus the 7 looks like the play here. The only thing that scares me with this game, it looks like Jesse just alluded to, it looks like too big of a line. And they're begging you to take the underdog. But sometimes you have to just keep it simple and see what's in front of you and react, and not trying to be too cute. So, and this is one of those situations. And also keep in mind, guys, Pittsburgh lost to Clemson at home earlier this season in a pretty decisive manner. So big time revenge for a team that lost. I think that game was played in early December before they really got into full conference tournament action or conference play, I should say. And this is a much better Pittsburgh team at this particular juncture in time than it was back in early December. So based on all that, I'm going to agree with you guys. Pittsburgh is our play plus the 7. All right, let me get to my game, Nevada and Colorado State. Right now, Colorado State is a 6-point favorite. The total in that game is 138. Colorado State coming off back-to-back road losses at UNLV 66-60 and at New Mexico 68-66. Low-scoring games. So those games both easily not only went under the total, but they easily went over the total, under the total, I should say, by a combined 35 points. As a matter of fact, Colorado State has now gone under in each of their last 7 contests with an average of just 128.4 points scored per game. Colorado State, number 25 nationally in defensive efficiency and number 2 in Mountain West Conference play in that same category. Nevada, on the other hand, coming off an 84-63 win at San Jose State. That game went over the total of 142.5. And I like to look at these types of algorithms where a team coming off an over like Nevada did in the last game. Nevada has gone 6-0 to the under in their last 6 games immediately following a game that went over the total. And those 6 games averaged 134.8 points per game. First meeting, Nevada wins 77-64 at home, and the game stays under the total of 143. Colorado State has allowed 68 points or fewer in 6 of their last 7. And so, again, neither one of these teams are a fast-paced team per se when you look at offensive tempo at KenPom. It opened at 138. It's now up to 140.5. So, obviously, it's getting a lot of overaction from the public. I like it even. I liked it at 138 to go under, guys. I'm going to go under 140.5, Nevada and Colorado State. Sean?
I think they're just screaming at you to take Colorado State here, minus the big number. They've dropped 3 of 4. You lost at UNLV, at New Mexico, at San Diego State. Your lone win at home versus Utah State, who, by the way, I just ran off those other teams who people might know. Well, Utah State's actually the best team and leading the Mountain West Conference. And yet here's a number that was actually, I saw this as high at 7.5 at, I think DK or FanDuel one of them had up there from Oprah 5.5. So I want to lean to the Rams to get it right. It's kind of like a desperation game for them, having dropped 3 of 4. Again, all the teams above them and the top teams here in the Mountain West, but yet here they are laying nearly a touchdown. I like the Rams here. Colorado State, let's go. Take care of the Wolfpack.
Yeah, Jesse, makes sense to me. Your take?
Yeah, too many points for me. I don't want to be on the wrong side of the line move there, but I'm going to agree with your under, Ross, and getting an extra two points is a bargain for me. I'm riding with the under 140.5.
Yeah, in Sean's defense, Colorado State's been extremely good at home this year. Not so much on the road, but very good on their home floor. So keep that in mind. Nevada's one of those teams that this a legitimate contender to be an NCAA tournament team, at-large team, if they don't win the Mountain West Conference. That Mountain West Conference tournament is going to be fabulous, guys, and I'm looking forward to it. And like I told Sean, and Sean, you can comment on this. I'd be very disappointed if at least 4 teams out of the Mountain West don't make the tournament. I mean, we just talked about the ACC. You can make a strong case that the top half of the Mountain West Conference, I should say overall, the Mountain West Conference isn't far behind the ACC in terms of strength right now.
I would much rather see the top 6 teams from actually even the top 7 with Colorado State's actually in 7th place here, believe it or not. And they're 8-7, 20-8 overall, and they've had some nice wins. I'd like to see all those teams get in as opposed to here comes a Syracuse or some team in a Big Ten team that has like a 20-12 record or some nonsense that I'll give to them, or give me all right. UNLV 16-10, and I kind of like Wyoming a little bit there tonight against them, but give me a bunch of mid majors who are hungry, but we don't get that kind of stuff. We're not gonna get that in the college football playoffs either. When it's gonna be all SEC and Big Ten teams. But real fast. So, yeah, big number. Talk about teams at home. They lose to Utah State. They lose to Boise. They beat them on their home court. Nevada got them by 15. San Diego State got them by 20 on the road, but they beat them by 20 here. It's across all conferences, folks. The home court is it really the teams take care of business there, man. It's really crazy the revenge angles in college basketball, or if it's
and
much as
that's why I
revenge or
said
just
what a
going
rare.
on the road. I don't know what it is.
That's why I was saying what a rarity Jesse's game was, Pittsburgh and Clemson, Sean, because it's sort of the opposite of what we've seen in college basketball this year, where you can make a case both of those teams are better on the road than they are at home and within conference play anyway. But anyway, Jesse, any final thoughts before we leave on what we just discussed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at Colorado State, and like a month ago, they were ranked in the top 20. So certainly they're a team that you'd like to see get into the tournament. I think they'd be well deserving, even if they don't finish in the top 3 in the Mountain West.
Yeah, if you're looking at the strength of teams in terms of how the NCAA tournament committee will look at it, I would look at the college basketball net rankings. All you have to do is put that in your Google search, and they give you a list of teams, and that's where I came up with Syracuse. Is, when we're talking about them possibly being an at-large team, they are far from that right now because they're at number 85. And you'll see a lot of those Mountain West Conference teams right up there in the net rankings. So again, that's more of an indicator than just the pure record or the conference that you play in. Just because Syracuse is 18-10 and the ACC at 9-8 in conference doesn't mean, as in past years, where you can't leave a team out from a power conference with a winning record. That's not the case anymore. That's not the way they look at things here. So in any event, there's a like button right underneath. Just hit that like button, folks. It's a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put in to bringing you this podcast here on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel on a weekly basis. Again, the name of the show is Wise Guys, the Wise Guys podcast. And chime in with your comments and questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer any one of those. And also, if you have not subscribed to the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel, please take a second to do so, and then go inside your YouTube settings and make sure you hit the alert notification bell for the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel, so you'll be alerted immediately upon any of the podcasts or free pick videos going up on this channel. Until the next time, for Sean Higgs and Jesse Schule, take care and God bless, folks.